Who's there? Who are you?
Suranesh.
What do you want?
My mother sent me to find Karja.
Follow me. Why did your mother send you?
Last month, when I completed my 19th year, she told me that the time had come for me to know that I'm not one of them, not one of our clan. She told me that she was not my real mother, and that I had to leave our mountain and learn where I came from. I resisted for a few days, but finally I did as she asked.
How did you find me?
She told me to follow the river that runs close to our home until I came to the water that flows out of the rock. So, people say you lived in the kingdom in the time before the destruction.
It's true.
Can you tell me how it ended?
First, the world that was before ended, not because of one event, but because of many. The cataclysms came, 3 of them, several years apart. People at different points on this globe described them differently. For some, there were earthquakes. For others, enormous waves that washed over the land. At other times, the ocean simply rose steadily over weeks and months, forcing people out of the temples and their homes to higher and higher ground. Second, you must know that the Source did this.
The source?
The source of all things.
Then why weren't you destroyed? Where did you live?
In the time before, a powerful people sprang from a land that was an earthly paradise, Atalan. The rich black soil yielded enormous crops and beautiful flora, which fed animals of every kind. By and by, these people learned to follow the way of the Source and live as the Source had instructed. They grew strong, and many left their homeland and spread out in colonies over the whole face of the earth. They taught the peoples of other lands the ways of farming and brought learning and music and the art of building. We possessed tools that could cut gigantic stones and others that set them in place. We built fantastic structures as big as mountains with absolute precision.
What did you do then?
In Atalan during those days, I was an agent of the Source, a priest of the Hethian Council, the highest order in the kingdom. There were 19 of us, but then, quite suddenly, things changed. The kingdom was overturned from within, and the priests of the Hethian Council were executed for treason. Before long, most of the people turned away from the Source. And though to outward seeming, the civilization maintained all its wealth and power and luster, like a radiant apple, on the inside, it had begun quickly to rot. Corruption spread across the land like wildfire. The people succumbed to greed and to lust. And the new rulers set out to make war and press all mankind into slavery.
So if the members of the council were executed, how did you survive?
One night, before the king was overthrown, all of us experienced a common dream. In it, we saw the events that were about to unfold, and we received a message from the source that we were to leave our posts and go underground. But only 4 of us believed. The others were too attached to their status and chose not to believe. The very next day, Seale seized power.
You said that the source is what destroyed civilization. What is this source?
The source is that which created the world and everything in it.
Where is it?
The source is nowhere, but everywhere. It's like the wind that is felt, not seen.
But if it can't be seen or touched, how do you really know it exists?
That is all for now.
Don't you know?
I know the answer to all your questions, but the source has not ordained that I answer them now. You must first be ready to hear the answers. All of us know the answers to all of your questions.
All of you?
The important thing is that you have begun your search, and the steed of your search must be not speed, not strength, but patience. Without patience, you'll reach nowhere, attain no goal. After we eat, you must rest.
Why? What do you mean, all of you?
This is only the beginning of your journey. I'm only the starting place. You must search and find all 4 of the surviving elders. Tomorrow at daybreak you must leave. If you are ready by then, the second, Ush-Anthu, will answer your questions more fully.
Ush-Anthu? Where?
You will leave the mountain waste for the first time in your life. You will continue to follow the river downstream until you come to a magnificent shelter adorned by a waterfall. There, Ush-Anthu will continue your learning.
All right. But how did you know I've never left the mountain wastes?
Suranesh, we know more about you than you think. In fact, we've been expecting you.
The hard part is this. All of the people whom I thought were my family, my aunts and uncles, cousins, all feel distant to me now. My whole life has been an illusion. Sometimes I wonder if my mother, or whoever she is sending me to find my father. Perhaps he is one of the Hedian Council. If that were true, would I be heir to their greatness? When I was a boy, I heard the stories of kingdoms and dreamed of one day being the ruler of my own, creating a new kingdom. If I were a king, I would have a horse, the finest horse in the whole country, fast and strong and tall. A horse would certainly help matters now. My love is Anye. I have known her since we were both small. I meant to marry her before I got this news. I left before I had a chance to explain, and so I don't know if she understands. I still don't understand myself. Maybe my mother has explained it to her. I told her that I would be back soon, but didn't know how long it would take. I told her probably a week, but I thought there was only one destination. I think that is what Mother thought as well. Now I don't know if it will be days, months, or years until Anye and I are together again. Perhaps while I'm gone, she'll meet another, and the feeling she had for me will fade. I can only hope when I return, we can be married. What is the source? How do we know it's real? There's one thing Karjad said that I can't get out of my mind. Why would the source create something just to destroy it? Is it like a child who builds a tiny fort out of sticks and stones and then delights in kicking it over? Is that all we are to it?
Ushantu?
Suranesh.
You must have a lot of questions.
I have so many questions, more than when I started.
Isn't that always the way? The longer we live, the more questions we have. Where would you like to begin?
I know about the Hedian Council. Karja told me how you went underground. But if the rest of the council was executed, how did you survive?
We kept these old vestments, but from the day we received the common dream, we masqueraded as paupers and sojourners. We could never admit to our former identities, but once a month during the new moon, we met behind the temple in the capital of Atulanu. By then, the inner temple had been turned into a site of orgies and drunkenness and idol worship. But there, in the dark, we reaffirmed our commitment to the Source and to one another. We shared news that we had learned from our travels and prayed for the restoration of the kingdom.
How long did this go on?
At the end of 7 years, we received another dream instructing us to depart from the city at once, to go into the countryside. We left under cover of darkness. No sooner had we cleared the city walls and canals of Atalanu than the first cataclysm arrived. A horrific earthquake that killed thousands upon thousands and wrecked many of the structures in the land. The cities were in rubble, but the people did not turn to the Source, nor did they even help each other, but became even more selfish and lawless and lustful. A new order of counterfeit priests arose and claimed that the disaster was proof that the Source had never existed at all, and that the universe was governed by petty gods. As we kept to our hiding place, things worsened.
How do we know they weren't right? How do we know there is a source? That there's something besides nature?
What do you think?
I asked Karjad.
And?
He wouldn't tell me. He said that I had to ask you.
Karja. In that box back there, with my belongings, is a solid gold medallion I've owned for 50 years. I won't let you have it. But if you took that knife in your satchel, you could easily kill me and take it. At one of the bartering posts, it would easily buy you a strong young horse, maybe two. Make your journey a lot easier, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't do that.
Why not? That would be the logical thing to do. That would be nature's way. Increase your wealth, your ease.
I don't know. It just wouldn't feel right.
That feeling, that one right there is your conscience. But consider, we humans are the only things in all of nature that possess this thing, this dimension. So how is it that humans, who obviously exist in the universe, possess certain qualities of which nature is devoid? Is it conceivable that a drop should have qualities of which this pool is completely deprived? The drop is a part. The pool is the whole. But everything that is must have been created by something. The human conscience exists, yet it stands alone in all of nature. And because nothing can exist on a plane higher than that which created it, the creator of our consciences must also be exalted above all nature. That is why you cannot see or touch or hear the Source. And yet, at the deepest level, you know the Source exists because you know your own conscience exists.
So is the source like us? Is it like a person?
That's a very good question. But it's not for me to answer.
Why did Karja tell me he was expecting me?
Because it's been exactly 16 years since we've seen you.
You knew me when I was 3? But how? Where?
You have come a long way, Suranesh. But for that answer, as well as for a very great secret, your secret, you must go even farther. The third elder, Shirala, is already waiting for you deep in the forests of the lowlands.
How will I find him?
Continue to follow this river. In 3 days you will come to the forest, a dark, shady wood. Do not enter it, but wait at the forest's edge. Shirala will meet you there and guide you where few men in your generation have trod.
Don't ever set out by yourself in this forest. I may never have seen you again. And there are more things I need to tell you.
Ushanthu told me you four knew me once, 16 years ago, when I was 3. But where?
Pretty good way from here.
Why?
First things first. How much do you know about what happened in the world before?
I know that there were 3 cataclysms, and the first was the earthquake. That's all that Ushanthu would tell me. What was the second?
The second cataclysm was fire. After 7 years of deepening violence, the source sent fire to warn the people again to turn to it.
But they didn't. What do you mean, fire?
The mountains that ringed Atalan exploded in fire. Molten rock poured down on the cities, burying many of the people. Enduring night fell upon the earth from the ash in the air. The earth warmed quickly, and the rain that seemed eternal began to fall.
Did the people turn to the source for help?
The fire turned out to be the final warning from the source. But instead of returning to the way of the source, they poured out into the surrounding continents to pillage them, brutalize the people they once taught, and fulfill their own selfish desires. No tongue can describe the darkness into which humans led each other at this time.
What did the darkness look like?
It looked like gluttony and death. In every way in which the self could be served, they served it. The rulers organized giant public orgies in the stadia of the towns. Rituals of human sacrifice spread across the kingdom in grisly ceremonies. Thousands were sacrificed to imaginary gods for this or that material gain. But it was all just a diversion, a sickening fascination. If the people were occupied and entertained, they would not notice or even mind if the government of the kingdom sank further and further into corruption.
But something doesn't make sense. How did the whole kingdom go from being so noble to being so evil in such a short time?
Simple. They followed.
Followed?
They were followers. They didn't think for themselves. They didn't investigate the reality of things for themselves. If their fathers did something, they did the same. Blind imitation. As long as there was a just ruler, then the people were just. But as soon as Lazial came to power, they followed him. And that's when it all went wrong.
Who was Lazial? Where did he come from?
Lazial came from the same place as the king. As a matter of fact, Lazial was the closest one to the king. He was his brother.
And how did the king fight back?
He didn't. Because he knew the people in the land were followers, he knew that his staying would cause everyone to take sides, his or Lazial's, and that an all-out civil war would ensue. He hadn't the heart to see that. And so he left Atalan altogether.
Just like that? He just left?
In the middle of the night, he packed a few things, took one loyal servant with him, and disappeared forever, with no thought of returning.
Why did Lazial do this when everything was so ideal before?
For this, you must ask Enkishi.
When I asked Ushanthu if the source was like us, she wouldn't answer. That's when she sent me to you. So what do you say? Is the source like we are? Like a person?
The source is not like us. We are like it.
But how can that be?
The source is so much greater than anything that issued from it that it can't be comprehended by any mind but its own. And yet we know that the source is something like a person.
What do you mean, something like a person?
That it is something like a mind. It has a will and a plan.
How can anyone know that?
Think of a stone. What is the power of a stone?
It has no power.
Are you sure?
Its hardness?
Right. It has the power of attraction. Its elements, its atoms, are bound together by the minerals within it, which make it one and make it strong. And now, what about this plant?
It has attraction too. It stays together.
True, but what else?
Growth.
Right. Growth, life. Now what about that squirrel?
Attraction and growth.
Is it the same as the plant?
No.
Why not?
It runs. The plant doesn't.
What else?
It sees. It tastes.
Right. It has the power of sensation and consciousness. Now again, consider yourself. You are the possessor of powers far exceeding that of any other animal, for you have the power to contemplate the unseen world, the world of thought. So you see, every being possesses the powers of every simpler being. So if we can think, our Creator must think, even to greater degrees. If we can love, our Creator must love. If we can have a will, our Creator must have a will. If we can know what justice is, our Creator must know justice. And all of the capacities in the Creator must be absolute. How can a painting possess qualities of beauty that are not possessed in the mind of the painter? It's impossible. The source, the Creator, must possess every virtue of the created to an infinite degree, but none of the creation's limitations.
But does the source love us?
You did it. You've come to the question that is reserved for the fourth elder. At daybreak, you must seek Enkishi.
Now, can you tell me why you knew me?
We more than knew you, Suranesh. We raised you, the four of us together. You drank from the breast of Ushantu. Karjat would bounce you on his knee. As soon as you could walk, you and I would go on long walks through the woods. Half the time you're being asked to be picked up. Sawash, pick me up. Sawash, pick me up. Do you remember?
Maybe.
It's all right. It's all right. You were so young.
Why did you give me up?
When you reached the age of 3, we received another vision. Instructions to take you to the highest point we could reach and find a suitable home for you. We did. We found the woman who became your mother in the tribe living there.
Who was my real mother?
We didn't know her.
What is this?
Just try it on. You'll need it soon.
Thanks, but I'm fine with what I've got.
Just humor an old man. Just humor a silly old man. I've told you all I can, young man. It's time for you to travel to the Fourth Elder in Kishi. From here, you must go directly east until you find her. Don't vary your course by even 1 degree. To reach her, you will have to pass your most difficult test yet. She lives at the far edge of the eastern waste.
I'm starting to feel that this journey, these tests, are meant to prepare me for something, perhaps something momentous. Since there's no longer a king in this land, maybe I'm destined to become the king that will found the new kingdom, make a new world. If I ever did become king, I would never allow my kingdom to descend into corruption. Peace and riches would flourish across my empire, and my name would go down in songs and legends as the greatest of all the kings. Many times a day, I want to give up and go home to the world I know. To Anya, to Mother, to the tribe, the familiar sights, the smells of the campfire, the softness of the fur of my bed. The only thing keeping me going is that Enki She is the last. She must hold the key to my past, and maybe to my future. Enki She!
You're right on time, young man. I bet you'd like some. Water. I know that walk. Done it many times myself. Night is the smarter way to go, but you probably figured that out.
Do I look the same?
Of course not. You're a man now, Suranesh. But I can still see that little one inside of you. I can see him in your eyes.
Why was the council raising me?
There'll be time for that. First, what have you been told about Atalan?
Many things, but I still have questions. Why did Lazial overthrow his own brother?
Lazial. For the same reason that all evil comes to pass. Envy. The king was loved, but the brother was petty and jealous and loved only himself. He grew to hate the king and spread lies about him among the highest ranks of the kingdom. Soon the people began to believe the lies.
Those signs on your head, what do they mean?
It's our symbol for the source, the absolute, the creator of all things. People in other lands had different symbols for it, but this was ours. Back in Atalanu, I used to wear this every day. It's been a long time since I put it on, but you never forget.
When I asked Sarala how we know that the source loves us, he said that was a question reserved for you.
Don't you want to know about your own history?
Yes, in a moment.
Well, does the source love its creation? You know the answer as well as I do. Why else would the source have created us? As a plaything? As laborers? What would the source need with laborers? Now, I have a question for you, Suranesh. What is the greatest thing in the world?
Intelligence.
Not bad. Try again.
Power.
You're further away.
Love.
Exactly. Love. Love is the greatest of all things. So why would the source do anything but for love? Everything it does springs from love. If we see beauty, that's love. If we see mercy, that's love. If we see creation, that's love. If we see trials, That's love. And even if we see punishment, that's love.
But we suffer.
Let's be honest. Most of our suffering is our own fault. Our foolishness, our greed, our lust. Here's a question. On what does all life on earth depend?
The sun.
The sun. But can we touch the sun? Of course not. We can't even look directly at it without going blind. The sun can't touch the earth without destroying it. It's too powerful. So how does it sustain us?
With its rays.
Exactly. The source cannot touch its creation directly. It must send rays.
What are the rays?
Messengers, masters, prophets, reflections of the source in human form. The source sends them when the time is right, when the night is darkest, when the winter is coldest. Then it sends the rays of the sun and the world is renewed. This is how we know that the source loves its creation. You and I and all of creation can aspire to no greater a station than that of the love object of the source.
Enkishi, I can't wait any longer. Why was the council raising me?
We were living outside the city of Atalano, in the wilderness. One day I was walking in the woods, and I found you. You couldn't have been more than a few days old, and insects were starting to bite you. When you reached the age of 3, the council received another message from the source, another common dream, instructing us to take you to the highest village we could find, to leave you there, and then to disperse and never to live together again until you had reached the age of maturity and had come to us. We resisted at first because we loved you so. But the wisdom in this became clear very soon.
What do you mean?
The third cataclysm was about to take place. A cataclysm so great that the only way to ensure that your secret was preserved was to disperse, so that if 1 or even 3 of us were killed, another would survive to pass it on to you.
What happened?
It had been growing warmer and warmer in the years since the cataclysm of fire, and for reasons the people did not understand, the sea was rising. Already many of the villages and cities along the coast had become inundated by the rising ocean. Temples that were once on dry ground were being swallowed up day by day. People retreated to higher ground, but then all of the people across the world felt a tremendous rumbling. Only the people in the highest mountains survived. That's where we were at the time. The earthquakes had loosened the buildings. The volcanoes had burned everything not made of stone. And the flood washed almost everything out to sea.
There's something I don't understand. I can't have been sent all the way here and gone through all this only to learn that I was abandoned in the forest.
You're right.
Oh, no. Please, no.
Suranesh, you feel in your heart what I'm about to say, that there are not 4 elders, but 5. The greatest of us all is Nefet, And for the answer to this question, you must seek him. Nefet, the greatest of all and the last, knows not only the past and not only the answer to your question, but the future. He will reveal the secret knowledge you seek. You've come a long way and triumphed over many tests. Now you are ready to hear the truth. The good news is that you are already close. You'll sleep here tonight. If you leave at first light, you'll be there by sundown tomorrow. And one more bit of good news, you're getting your river back. Follow the river east again until you come to a thick palm grove. Inside that grove, you will come to the crossing of the palms. Nefet will meet you there.
The source is nowhere, but everywhere. It's like the wind that is felt, not seen.
So how is it that humans, who obviously exist in the universe, possess certain qualities of which nature is devoid?
They were followers. They didn't think for themselves. They didn't investigate the reality of things for themselves.
Only the people in the highest mountains survived. That's where we were at the time.
Now at least, I have the assurance of the council that my journey is almost over. That at last I'll get the answers I've come all this way for. I feel it more strongly than ever, that my origin is my destiny. With every tree I pass, every bush, every blade of grass, they all seem to be whispering to me, Leader.
Welcome to Atalanu.
This is Atalanu.
What's left of it?
Why don't the people know of you? Why do they only speak of the four? Were you a member of the Hedian Council?
In a sense, I was. In another sense, I wasn't. Why are you here?
To learn the truth about where I came from.
Suranesh. The others, they're still alive?
All four. Do you know which cataclysm the king died in?
He didn't die in a cataclysm.
Then how?
He didn't die. Indeed, he lives still.
Where?
Here.
In Atalanu? I thought he left.
He did. But even as Atalanu ceased to exist, the king longed to return home. And so he returned. There is no substitute for home, even when it no longer exists.
Will you take me to him?
I will. No, no. Up, up. After all, now I am the king of nothing.
King, I was sent on this journey by my mother to learn the secret of where I came from. Sarala told me that the Hedian Council, with you, raised me to the age of 3, and Enki told me that she was the one who found me in the woods. She said that there was more, but that you had to be the one to tell me.
Indeed, there is more.
Please, I've come such a long way.
I know you have, and the truth you shall finally get.
Who was my mother?
Your mother was a slave girl who, frightened and alone, abandoned you to the wilderness.
And my father?
Your father was Seale. It's true. I'm sorry. He forced himself on the slave, and she fled the city.
No, that's not true. Raziel was the man who destroyed the world. He's not my father. You're lying. Liar!
What reason would I have to lie to you? Didn't I raise you like my own son during those first precious years? That kind of love never goes away, Suranesh. Even though you were born from the seed of an evil man and conceived in an evil act, you are noble. You were created noble. That is the gift of the source to all humankind, that we were all created noble. So don't cry. Don't be ashamed. This is not your secret at all, but only a way to get you here. Your true secret has yet to be revealed. Come, I'll tell you.
Nefet, there's something that still bothers me. Why would the Source create something it loved, only to destroy it?
The Source is like the sun. It gives life to all things on earth, but also destroys that which is dead and useless. The Source did not destroy its creation, but human's creation, which had already died. That destruction is only mercy by another name.
Is every disaster the destruction of something dead? Is every cataclysm a punishment?
No, not all of them have a spiritual cause, but all of them do have a spiritual effect. They soften the hearts of men, if they can still be softened.
If there is one Source, and it is just, why has it allowed all this to happen to the innocent as well as to the wicked? Why do the innocent have to suffer?
The suffering of this world is real. You have felt it these last few days, but it is only temporary. It is like a woman in labor and the birth, the other side. On the other side of what we call death is a life that no tongue can describe. It's as different from this life as this life is different from life in the womb, but no less real. If anything, it is more real. But not all things are meant to be revealed to this world. It isn't for us to know everything in this life. It isn't for the embryo to know everything of the outside world. Not yet.
At the ocean, you said that my origin wasn't my secret. So what is?
The knowledge you must keep is this, that humans are one thing. We perceive ourselves as individuals, but to the Source, we are one organism, the atoms of one body. That's why the Source at times destroys the innocent along with the wicked. It could be no other way. If a man is full of disease and his body is beyond salvation, it is mercy that the Source ends his physical life. Perhaps the hand is perfectly healthy, or the foot. They are blameless. But if the brain or the heart are beyond help, the whole person must die, even the hand, even the foot. Atalan was the heart of the world, but the heart had been overrun with disease and was spreading its sickness to every extremity of the body of humanity. In truth, Atalan destroyed civilization. The flood only cleansed it for a new body, a stronger body, a world of questioners.
Why must I keep this knowledge? Am I to be a new king? Am I to found a new empire?
Suranesh, night has only just fallen on us. The sun has only just set on this age. The darkness will continue to grow for thousands of years. What has not been destroyed by changes in the earth will be slowly swallowed up by ever greater isolation and ever deeper ignorance. So it is not for you to be a king, because there is nothing now to be king of.
Then why have I been given all this knowledge?
Because the Source has always intended a different kingdom for you. The Source has given you the kingdom of eternal happiness through us, which is so much greater than anything I could see to you in this earthly plane. She will marry you, Suranesh. Create a family, your own kingdom. Teach the others in your tribe what we have taught you. Come down from the mountain now and live in the valley of contentment. Be happy.
All this time, all of you have lived in isolation, all these years, just for my sake?
What is the greatest force in the universe?
Love.
Compared to our love for you, these years have been as one day.
And so, this is the end of civilization?
No, this is not the end, only the night. After 6,000 years of darkest night, the dawn will break again on a new day for humankind. The Source knows when the time is right. At the ordained time, it will impregnate the world again with its spirit, and civilization will, ever so slowly, begin to flourish. Prophets will be sent to different lands in different times, and slowly the minds and hearts of men and women will be rebuilt. The laws of the Source will be revealed again. Learning will ripple across the earth, and powerful empires will be born again. But along with the flowers of the garden will grow the weeds. Spiritual progress will lag behind material progress, and humans will again make war. They will encircle the globe, mapping every corner of it, but they will suppress and enslave their brothers. They will invent great machines, but will also unleash frightful energies in this earthly plane. But again, as before, human morals will descend into greed and lust and violence. They will rise to the height of their intellectual discovery and again peer into the abyss of their moral decay. Then they must make a choice.
And what is the choice?
The Source will reveal this secret again to the people of that day, and the choice will be whether or not to honor the secret of Suranesh, the secret you have come to know on this journey, to understand that humanity is one, that whatever we do to another, good or bad, we do to ourselves.
But you can see that future. Which path will we choose?
I wanted to hate the ocean for what it had done to the world. And I wanted to hate the source for causing all of this, for causing the ocean to come out of itself and swallow humanity. But I could not hate it, for it was too beautiful. And its beauty in that moment made the world right.